The first time I did it, like 10 years ago, the sort of press, particularly the industry press in America, was like, why is he saying these awful things to the most beautiful people? You know, and then by the 5th time, right, they were going, good, give it to him, we're sick of celebrities.
Ellen DeGeneres is named in the Epstein documents, and that part is real. Her name appears in the broader index of over 300 high-profile individuals that show up across the investigative materials.
Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein.
Imagine the nerve it takes to stand in a room packed with Hollywood's most untouchable names. The kind of people who can end a career with one phone call and tell them, to their faces, that they're friends with Jeffrey Epstein. That is precisely what Ricky Gervais did when he hosted the Golden Globes. The world tuned in, expecting jokes, and for a moment, the cameras caught the usual Hollywood smiles. But the real story was written across the faces in that ballroom. And it wasn't amusement they were wearing. They weren't just offended. They looked genuinely terrified. For the longest time, the public figured Ricky was simply a comedian with a sharp tongue and a mean streak. Someone who liked poking at powerful egos for sport. Yet now that the walls around Hollywood's darkest secrets are crumbling at a frightening pace, it's becoming painfully clear that he wasn't messing around. That night wasn't comedy, it was a warning. And sitting right at the heart of that warning is a woman who spent her entire career selling the world a slogan, be kind. Behind the cameras, though, she was allegedly tangled in something so dark and so deep that it makes the initial Epstein fallout look like a warm-up act. We're talking about Ellen DeGeneres, about the celebrities who are still circling to protect her, and about the wave of exposure that threatens to bring this entire house of cards crashing down.
Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. I don't tell people not to be offended. I tell them I don't care if they are.
Right.
Be offended if you want.
Yeah.
It makes it funnier for me.
We're living in an era where the boundary between science fiction and real life keeps getting thinner by the day. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the high-stakes world of anti-aging research. Out in Silicon Valley, billionaires are pouring serious money into startups, exploring young blood plasma transfusions, a fringe practice often whispered about under the name ambrosia. The pitch sounds simple enough. Infuse the blood of the young into the veins of the old and, supposedly, reverse the hands of time. These are some of the most powerful minds and deepest pockets on the planet, betting that vitality itself can be transferred from one body to another. But what sounds like an eccentric billionaire experiment on the surface takes a much darker turn when you dig beneath the glossy headlines.
At the end, I was asking about the movie, and I asked him about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
Wow.
Epstein Island isn't the only...
She believed consumption was transformation, that youth could be taken in, that vitality could be absorbed. She talked about ancient rites, about elites throughout history who understood what the masters didn't. There was a separate kitchen on her property, stainless steel, private entrance, no security cameras inside.
The publicly funded, heavily regulated version of this science is met with raised eyebrows and plenty of skepticism. Sure, but it's the black market side of the story where the real horror begins to unfold. According to rumors that have circled elite circles for decades, extraction isn't just about clean labs and clinical trials. It involves harvesting biological material from young bodies, specifically during moments of intense fear or trauma. The long-whispered theory holds that the human body releases certain compounds in those extreme moments, and that those compounds are believed to have a powerfully rejuvenating effect on whoever consumes them. This, insiders claim, is the grim truth lurking behind the notorious treatments tied to Epstein Island and the strange rituals Ellen DeGeneres allegedly described to her own wife. It all points to a chilling belief system at the top of the food chain. That youth isn't simply a stage of life you pass through, but a substance to be harvested, bottled, and consumed by those with enough power and money to take it.
Okay, let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many, did you get the whole cast of Ocean's 8 to do
Not
this?
everybody.
Okay, good, smart ones.
Just those that I thought would appreciate it.
Okay, explain what it is.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, some of you, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the
What are you pushing into the skin, Sarah?
Sarah?
Say it, Terry. What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
Let's talk about Kevin Hart. Back in 2018, the comedian was riding the highest wave of his career after landing what seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime, hosting the Academy Awards. It was supposed to be his crowning achievement, the moment that cemented his place at the top of the comedy world. Instead, it all unraveled within 48 hours. Old tweets clawed their way back to the surface, the internet erupted, and Kevin was left with no choice but to step down. While most of Hollywood went radio silent, terrified of being dragged into the fire alongside him, one person came out swinging with a level of intensity that raised eyebrows. Ellen DeGeneres didn't just defend Hart, she campaigned for him, revealing on her show that she'd personally called the Academy to urge them to reconsider. She insisted to the world that Kevin was a good man, a changed man, someone who deserved a second shot. At the time, it was easy to read it as simple loyalty, a friend going to bat for a buddy in crisis. But now, with the swirling rumors about Kevin Hart's alleged presence at certain notorious parties hosted by figures like Diddy, that fierce defense is starting to look less like friendship and more like protection. The question people are beginning to ask is simple and uncomfortable. Why was Ellen so desperate to keep Kevin in that spotlight? And the darker theory is that the two of them shared something that neither could afford to have exposed.
Well, Kevin Hart's job hosting the 91st Academy Awards lasted just 2 days. The actor and comedian was announced as the host Tuesday afternoon, but overnight Hart stepped down following an outcry over previous homophobic tweets and comments he made during stand-up routines nearly a decade ago. Anna Warner shows us how an Instagram video from Hart only made matters worse. Anna, good morning.
Good morning. Hosting the Oscars has always been one of the toughest jobs in Hollywood, but the criticism usually comes after the show. Less than an hour after Kevin Hart's announcement, a reporter posted screen grabs of the comedian's old homophobic tweets, and from there, the backlash grew.
Everything about a raccoon says crime.
Kevin Hart is known for his unique brand of comedy.
A raccoon came up to the glass doors, put his hand on the glass, saw me, shot at me twice.
And he's a fixture at the box office, starring in blockbuster hits like Jumanji.
We gotta go. I can't outrun those guys.
And the Ride-Along franchise.
You are what I say you are. Oh, God.
But just 2 days after he was announced as host of the Academy Awards, Kevin Hart dropped out, under fire for past homophobic comments on social media. On Twitter last night, he wrote, "I do not want to be a distraction. I sincerely apologize to the LGBTQ community." It was an abrupt turn from just hours earlier.
I've said who I am now versus who I was then. I've done it.
When a defiant Hart took to Instagram to say he wouldn't apologize.
I'm not going to continue to go back and tap into the days of old when I moved on and I'm in a completely different space in my life.
The comedian faced intense criticism this week after tweets surfaced from between 2009 and 2011 where he used the term gay as an insult and called people homophobic slurs.
One of my biggest fears is my son growing up and being gay.
He made similar comments in his 2010 stand-up special, Seriously Funny.
Every kid has a gay moment.
Dave Chappelle has also stepped up to back these claims, stating outright that a circle of modern-day slavers operates inside Hollywood, working every single day to tear down black men in the industry. According to Chappelle, it's not paranoia or conspiracy chatter. It's a system designed to strip powerful black talent of their dignity, their leverage, and their masculinity, piece by piece.
Dave Chappelle, another great comedian, said that, you know, in the industry, they tried to make him wear a dress. Have you ever ran into that with scripts, and is that something that, you know, you wouldn't do, you know, for...
Definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. You know, for me, I know what they are. They've yet to been challenged, so you know, I don't have to speak on them. I was asked to dribble a basketball on the talk show this morning.
You look
said
good,
no to that. Not that was a dress, but I was like, no, I'm gonna look stupid. You know, at the end of the day, you got to know that you're a brand. Yeah. I'm a brand. You need to protect your brand at all times. When things happen that can possibly affect your brand, your brand can be diminished, and you don't want that to happen. So, you know, protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. There's certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress, at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, these brothers gotta wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, you got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And he put this dress on. And, what? As a prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave, listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then, like, the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? Wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? This is, oh, gosh, this guy's so difficult. They leave. Man, the producers come on, David, would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why they putting us in these dresses?
Then there are the accusations coming from inside Kevin Hart's own camp. His former assistant reportedly revealed that Hart would routinely step out on his wife by carrying on affairs with his own employees. She claimed to have walked in on compromising situations behind closed doors, describing encounters inside his private office spaces, and even the sauna. Whether she saw anything with her own eyes or simply heard enough to know what was happening, the picture she painted was unmistakably shady. These bombshell claims paint a significantly darker portrait of a man whose public image was built on family values and wholesome comedy. If the allegations hold any weight, the smiling, goofy guy audiences grew up loving was wearing a carefully crafted mask, one that hid a much messier reality underneath.
Oh, the cheating. What have you witnessed besides everybody seeing the tape? What have you witnessed, though, personal assistant?
I witnessed, there's a blonde girl who has this pretty curly hair. She's light-skinned, skinny. I think she's probably black and white, black and Spanish or something. She has like this fluffy, natural hair. He bought her in the office, and she drives a Range Rover. That's how I know who it is, and Kevin drives his different cars. She comes into the office, and when he introduced her to me, he said that she was his model for Hustle Heart, taking the Hustle Heart supplements and, you know, posting them. Oh,
gorgeous.
She's beautiful.
And what you see?
Kevin and I, we shared an office. Kevin bought the entire floor. One side was Laugh Out Loud, one side was Heartbeat, and so he had the office, and then it was this big office like this, the size of this room, and right here was my office, right here was his office. He had a middle table, the conference room, and a bathroom, his dressing room, and a kitchen. I came in one day, I don't know if anything happened, but there was somebody in his office, and I was heading to mine because somebody just put a TV on my wall. Correct, someone was supposed to put a TV on my wall. And I came in and I walked right back out, and I was like, whatever is happening in there, I know it's not good. I didn't see anything, but I left.
You heard noises?
Yes. I don't know what kind of, but it was something happening. I knew who was in there.
Who?
The blonde girl.
Oh, he ain't even in hotel rooms. He said, last time I got caught up in a hotel room, fuck.
And that's why he wanted a shower. And he told his designer that he needed a new couch. And I told his designer, I said he needed a new couch because he wanted to on his couch. That's what he needs it, because the one that you got in there is not comfortable enough to be pounded some cheeks. That's why he needs a new couch.
Nobody knew the price of being on the outside of Ellen's inner circle better than Anne Heche. During the late 90s, Anne and Ellen were the power couple trailblazers in every sense, widely recognized as the first openly gay couple of that magnitude in Hollywood history. Their relationship was a cultural moment, a milestone that seemed to signal real progress in an industry not exactly known for embracing difference. But when the romance fell apart in 2000, Anne didn't just lose a partner. She lost everything: her career, her standing, her place in the industry. She was effectively blacklisted, frozen out by a town that had once celebrated her. In the years that followed, she spoke openly and often about how toxic that relationship had been, about the enormous mental toll it took on her, and about how quickly Hollywood turned its back the moment she was no longer on Ellen's arm. Her story became a cautionary tale about the price of proximity to power and the even higher price of losing it.
Ellen's ex-girlfriend, who she dated from 1997 to 2000, Anne Heche, sadly passed away. Anne and Ellen, while they were together, seemed to have a bit of a toxic relationship, and when the romance eventually ended, Anne was so distraught that she had to spend time in the hospital trying to get her mental health back into a state of equilibrium. On August 5th of 2022, Anne Heche was driving her Mini Cooper in a neighborhood in Los Angeles when she crashed her car into a home at a high rate of speed just before 11 a.m. After Anne crashed her vehicle into this home, the car went into flames, and shockingly, Anne was not pulled from the car from firefighters until about 11:50. Firefighters were on scene for about 20 minutes before they said they were able to get to Anne in the vehicle due to all of the smoke. When Anne was pulled from the wreckage, she was shockingly still alive. A stomach-turning video that went viral after Anne passed away was of her sitting up out of a stretcher that medics had put her in as they were wheeling her into an ambulance. And at that time, I cannot even imagine the pain that she would have been in. Anne was taken to the hospital where she fell into a coma and was pronounced to have no brain activity on August 11th of 2022. At the age of 53, Anne would pass away, leaving behind 2 young sons. There has been a lot of conspiracies surrounding Anne's passing, as when she passed away, she had been working on a project called The Girl in Room 13, which was a movie about a girl who was being sold into trafficking. There is no evidence to support that Anne's life was taken because of this project that she was working on, but many speculate that someone had done something to her vehicle or cut her brakes or something. People close to her said she would never do this on purpose.
Former staff members have also come forward over time, describing a workplace environment that was hostile in ways that go far beyond the usual difficult boss stories. Employees claim they weren't even allowed to look Ellen in the eye, and talk of ethnic discrimination, unwelcome touching, and the glaring disconnect between the warm woman on screen and the cold boss behind the camera has become a recurring theme. One producer, Leah Muscat, who had spent years on the show, didn't hold back, branding the daytime icon a toxic, phony hypocrite and a liar all at once. It was a complete reversal of the image. The public had been sold for years the kind, dancing, generous Ellen America, invited into their living rooms every afternoon. And yet, as shocking as those workplace allegations were, they would end up serving as little more than the top layer of something far deeper, a warning sign of things that would surface later.
DeGeneres feeling the heat as more employees, past and present, from her show say that they were working in a toxic environment. Some Hollywood actors also speaking out against the talk show host now.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she...
And then there's the tragedy of Stephen Twitch Boss. For years, Twitch was the beating heart of the Ellen Show, the DJ, the sidekick, the human energy source who lit up the room every single day. On paper, he had it all. A beautiful wife, 3 kids, and a career that seemed to be climbing without limits. That's why the news in December 2022 that he had died in a motel room hit everyone so hard. Nobody saw it coming, least of all his family. His mother was immediately suspicious. His wife, Allison Holker, insisted there were no warning signs, no depression they knew of, no financial trouble, no note. He simply drove to a motel a mile from their home and never came back. The internet, as it always does, started digging. And that's when people found a connection that wouldn't leave them alone. Twitch's death came at a moment when the investigations into Ellen's workplace culture were reaching a fever pitch. Some now speculate that Twitch was the one person who truly knew what was happening behind the scenes. Not just the mean boss headlines, but the real, high-level misconduct that never made it to the tabloids. The question that haunts his story is whether he was a casualty of a machine trying to protect its most valuable asset. The official report rules it a self-inflicted wound. But for the people who knew him best, that explanation has more holes than Swiss cheese.
There's 2 things that I want to touch on because I know that you guys will eat me up if I don't. And those 2 things are the passing of Twitch and the passing of Ellen's ex-girlfriend, Anne. So very briefly, in a nutshell, Twitch was the DJ who replaced DJ Tony on The Ellen Show, and he was also a So You Think You Can Dance alumni. In December of 2022, Twitch was found unalive in a hotel room not far from his residence. It was revealed that Twitch took his own life due to a self-inflicted wound to the head. When Twitch's mother found out that her son had passed away, she was immediately suspicious and believed that someone had harmed him. Twitch's wife, family, and friends all shared that they were not aware that he was struggling emotionally, that he had been depressed, that he was having thoughts of taking his own life. No one had any clue. The family was not experiencing any kind of financial hardships. They had children together. They were in a loving marriage, according to his wife. An autopsy and toxicology revealed that he did not have anything in his system, nor was any kind of foul play thought to be in question. I believe the theory that Ellen had something to do with his passing perhaps comes from the toxic work environment that Ellen cultivated that might have weighed on Twitch harder than others. And being in a hostile work environment will cause anyone to question their worth.
Back in January 2020, Ricky Gervais did more than just host the Golden Globes. Many now believe he delivered a final warning, dressed up in tuxedo and punchlines. He looked directly into the eyes of Hollywood's ruling class and essentially told them their time was running out. When he cracked his now infamous joke about Jeffrey Epstein, the temperature in that room plummeted. Nobody laughed. No polite giggles, no performative applause, no relieved chuckles, just silence. A deafening, terrifying silence. It was the kind of hush that falls when someone speaks a truth so raw that the people in the room suddenly realize their secrets aren't as safe as they believed. But what if that moment was never really about the joke at all? What if Gervais was holding up a mirror to a machine that was already beginning to sputter and stall, and he was simply the first to say out loud what so many were too terrified to whisper?
And not only are we not furious, most of us, we don't care, we wouldn't have even known about it if you hadn't have found it and printed it and told us we're furious. So it's just this vicious cycle. But no, I don't care. And likewise, I know people are allowed to be offended by things I've said. That's up to them. That's the good thing about freedom of speech. I can say what I want. You can say you're offended. I can care or not.
Looking ahead, the exposure Ricky Gervais kicked off is only going to escalate. The Epstein documents, the Diddy tapes, the mysterious deaths of figures like Anne Heche and Twitch, they're all fragments of the same puzzle. Piece them together, and you find a Hollywood that isn't run by talent or taste, but by leverage. And nobody understood that game better than Ellen, who spent decades quietly collecting information while the cameras were rolling on her. As Ricky himself famously said on that stage, it was his last time hosting, so he didn't care. He handed the public the truth, wrapped in a joke, and walked away. Now it's up to the rest of us to stop laughing and start paying attention to what's been sitting in plain sight all along. The gatekeepers are falling, the protectors are scrambling, and the final card Ricky talked about is finally being played. The era of the untouchable elite is drawing to a close, and the fallout coming next is going to be unlike anything we've ever witnessed.
I didn't go out there and break the law. It wasn't mental. Everything was justified. I researched those jokes. I made sure it was fair. I wouldn't say anything to go, well, that's not fair. He didn't do that. I'd go, only tell the truth. I didn't out anyone. I didn't do anything it was not in public. I didn't do anything that was something they couldn't help. It was about their behaviors.
Yeah. So, what do you make of all this? Is Ellen the key to a much bigger Hollywood conspiracy? Or is she just a convenient scapegoat for an industry rotting from the inside? And who else is still hiding in the shadows, quietly waiting for their own Diddy moment to arrive? We want to hear from you in the comments, because this story is nowhere near finished, and the next revelation could be the one that finally breaks Hollywood for good. Stay tuned, keep your eyes open, and remember, not everything that glitters is gold. And sometimes the kindest people in the room are exactly the ones you should be most afraid of.